Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Been an event to get the guy I need to give me the answer.
Yeah.
And we clarified that, again, this was around this kitchen project because
Okay.
we didn't want to like, we were buying a stove and the stove was $6,000 and then we were buying, but the hood has to go with it and the hood was all, it's like, so when I put it, so we clarified that the whole thing just goes in for one approval. So once you guys know what you kind of are looking at, and you got those bids and those proposals, then we can push it all up.
Okay.
And then the other thing we have to do is we have to go to the historical preservation. We have to get their blessing.
What's that? You're joking.
No, it's a form that has to be filled out, but it really would come. Don't. I know this is like a lot of stuff.
What's being historically preserved?
Nothing. But you have to check because.
We have to check off that piece.
Well, we have to send it off to the group that does it.
Do you know how old those tether balls are?
But you have to check. So let's say you had a building here that was somehow historical, right? And you wanted to, put this fancy modern glass thing on the front side. And that was, they have a stake in it and they want to make sure. And then the other thing we'll need, so once you get all there, is we need all of you to give us a blessing. And we have to have that. We have to have those minutes and send those minutes up. So we
Get that down pretty good.
Thank you. 12 years. So,
Just as an FYI, here's your devil in the details thing. Set up and pull down from any sort of construction is like anywhere between 30 to 40% of the cost. So if you have 5 contractors all doing separate little bits and pieces, you've just basically added, a third to your construction cost, but it slides through the system better. But since the bottom line is the bottom line, it's something to be paying attention to.
And if you're thinking of a contractor to oversee this project, you got to get them in line. You got to get your dates as to when you want it installed.
and we can be the GC. We can, the general contractor. So we can oversee Jim Bell, thank you. You don't need a contractor's license that he's just organizing because you're bringing these folks in to do that construction test.
His job description basically says, when we did the Esther thing, that's his gig, and that's his gig.
So it also comes down to the, if any permits have to be pulled and all that stuff. So if anyone's got an in with the town on
Couple
permits.
people might. We're still targeting like spring, right, for this whole thing? Is that still where we're at to get this
I mean,
done?
hopefully it would just depend on like how long this stuff will take to ship.
Yeah, well, I mean, spring is defined
Right.
as March to,
July.
No. But we would like to get it done. Yeah. I mean, I would like to be able to tell people a town meeting is coming.
Yeah.
That's probably the piece I care about in terms of that.
I think if there's a specific vendor you're looking at working with and, let's connect, because if there's a certain vendor and we can figure out a way to, if they can give us different invoices, that, so they're not bidding.
Give us an invoice per
Maybe, yeah.
item. Okay.
Then we can meet that threshold. And then, what would be really great is some vendors, if you're using one vendor, might give you, because they have images of their designs already. They might be able to plot them, like what it might look like, and give that to you so you can bring to town meeting so people at least see what.
And there is a fully laid out spec of the building and grounds. I've seen it in the town materials. I know it's there somewhere. Probably worth checking a second time. All right.
And then the last question was,
how many of the playground equipment, what is the percentage of those that need to be handicap accessible?
We'd have to check the regs.
I can't find it.
Because that was
lost.
supposedly
Can't
part of
find
the
it.
hangup, wasn't it? That when we first weighed
Well,
this
that
out?
was why we just recently had another meeting, was to sort of look at that. I couldn't find specifically,
Who would you contact to get that information? I mean, we should have to try to weed through all.
Let me work on that.
ADA.
Yeah, I
Went to
called,
an ADA site and.
I actually made some phone
Call
calls.
person.
The feedback I got was that virtually anybody who's selling equipment to the public, any kind, automatically has to have their stuff, has to be ADA compliant. What that means, I don't really know. The big issue is whether or not the playground itself has to have a percentage of pieces that are, there's a certain type of swing that you see in a lot of sets these days where like it swings 2 inches off the ground and it's really, really wide for wheelchairs. So you have to just check to see if you have some of that in your plan. I think that's really the big one. It's going to be the overall plan that's going to be.
I'm not getting any kind of picture for what
Yeah, so let me check with the state to find out exactly what you may or may not need.
Yeah.
Get you a percentage thing, but I agree with Jack, like, it might be also just talking with the vendor and just saying, we're a public school, we gotta meet codes, like, you know what the codes are, like, what are you saying? Like, okay, you got 3, you want 4 swings, 1 has to be ADA.
That kind of stuff.
Right, and you want, if you're gonna put in this climbing system, you also have to have this system that goes with it, because that allows for a student who can't use stairs to access it, or something of that nature. I mean, it's so heavily regulated these days that I don't think it'll be too difficult for us to get those answers.
And like I said, I talked when I was down last time to both Woburn and the Reading school systems, because the former superintendent down there, and this is the only reason I know about the certain type of swing, the certain type of merry-go-round that they have specifically for that stuff.
And a lot of it also has come, like I think I said with you guys, with the ground covering, and what I've come to learn is Central Elementary kind of ran into some of this when they put that playground in across the street from their school. They didn't go through some, and then they had to go back and retrofit some things. So it's by far better to do it up front and not get whacked. So I mean, will take us a little bit, but I'll get those answers.
So Rachel's been in contact with the company, so I'm emailing her now. Because she's reaching out to them anyway.
Because one thing that I was reading was saying that it needed to be so that the person can get from their device to the equipment.
Right,
So I
and
was
that-
looking at the spinner and it looked like the person would be able to move over.
So that might be needing a pathway. So one
Yeah.
of the things Central had to do was put in a hardened pathway
Right.
No,
that goes through the playground, that goes next, it meanders next to each one of the apparatuses. So then a student who maybe uses a wheelchair or a walker or something of that nature can get themselves there, and then with some assistance can get onto the apparatus.
And
So-
like the
Handicap.
school, elementary school that they just did down in Reading. First thing they really had to do is they leveled it all off with a
Bulldozer or whatever.
yeah, and they used that kind of football artificial turf type stuff and made it flatten up, and that's what they did. It turned out to be less of a deal than it might have been, and they had it's just basically 4 metal poles on a item that's basically about half of it's disabled. That's the spot,
So that's I didn't talk about it. That's another way to maybe look at it, is instead of having like wood chips or rubber chips and a pathway, you just do artificial turf for the whole.
Yeah,
I'll have to read back. There was an article I read, and if I remember correctly, the turf had some issues.
Yeah.
That would be without weather.
Welcome to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put some good old fashioned AstroTurf in too.
Yeah.
Kind of what this stuff was. Anyway, there you are.
Yeah, anything you can get
All right.
to us would be helpful.
Is there, when do you guys meet next?
We meet in 2 weeks
All right, make sure, just,
on Wednesday.
make sure I come. I just want to touch on this so I
Okay.
can,
I'll
wanna
keep
get-
bugging you.
well, I want to get something out to both the Athenian and to the Grafton News to let them know, might go under our mutual signatures, to let them know this is, we haven't forgotten,
We're
and this is
working
where we're
on
at
it,
and what we're at.
yeah.
All right,
That'll be in my write-up.
all right, one more item, then we're gonna rock and roll. Cause it's gonna be real quick. 7C,
You going to executive session for 7C?
yes.
So do you want to do director's comments first?
Let's do director's comments
Sorry.
first. Thank you. Always somebody. So why don't we do director's comments starting on my right?
You always start with me. So I just wanted to thank everyone who came and did stuff for the bake sale with the PTG. I know Kathy's banana bread was a huge hit and like went away really quick.
And the coupon.
I know. And then also it looks like from the weekly that y'all have been doing a lot of really great stuff this year from like the ice cream truck and everything. So I just wanted to thank Angela and anyone else that's been participating in those.
Yeah, I loved your creative ice cream.
Happy kids. So easy.
Yeah, I heard a lot about the ice cream truck. I just, and I also heard a fair amount of feedback about the community forum that there seems to be real two senses. One is there was enthusiasm for doing it more often, and there was expectations set that we're really going to act on the items that were laid out in front of us, and they will be, I'm going to make sure everybody's got a copy of it, and we will have items in the agenda on a regular basis to start to kind of knock these items down one by one by one. That's all I got.
I got a busy week with all meetings and sometimes I get them all mixed up. But I'm glad things are off to a good start. And I've learned a lot in the last couple of meetings with the budget on how that's going. So, and I'm very happy for this 20 or so page report here, which is long overdue, but I'm glad it's happening.
Mhm.
You're up, Glenn.
I think I'll pass. Make it so it's finished.
I appreciate once again, and I think I said it last time, the weekly that Angela puts out. Keeps me in touch with the school and what's happening, what's going on, the events that's taking place. I just really like it. I think it's well done. Very informative. So I thank you for that.
I echo that. I enjoy it every week, and it keeps me in touch with what's going on here.
I look forward to that.
You know, great.
Well, excellent. Then, with that said, we probably going to go into executive session for what I hope will be a grand total of 5 minutes. And then we'll come out, don't anticipate any action, and then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Do you need a motion to go into
We
executive
do
session?
need a motion to go into executive
I
session.
move we're going to executive session.
Yeah, I have a record.